During the summer of COVID in 2020, two families with no previous connection crossed paths at a remote Minnesota lake in a series of coincidences that might be best described as divinely ordained. For more than 100 years, Clearwater Historic Lodge has provided a spectacular getaway opportunity in Minnesota's Boundary Waters area. Families come from all over the country to canoe, kayak, swim, hike, and fish around Clearwater Lake. Emily Schuberg's family has been vacationing at Clearwater Lake since she was 10 years old. Even as the country wrestled with a pandemic during the summer of 2020, the annual family reunion moved forward. Meanwhile, down in Norman, Oklahoma, Heidi Long and her family were also making plans to visit the historic lodge at Clearwater Lake. By the time the Longs arrived at their cabin on the lake, the Schubergs had been on site for several days. Emily remembers vividly how the family was settling down after another fun day.
I can't remember if Emily said, "Where's Sam?" or I said, "Where's Sam?"
I was upstairs cleaning up from dinner, and I think our oldest child, we were going to play a game, so I was getting that set up. The home has 3 levels, a top level, a main level, and then a basement that has a sliding door that can go down and to the lake.
3-year-old Sam, who in the hustle and bustle at the end of a great day on the lake had slipped out of the cabin unnoticed.
Started to panic a little bit, and I think we ran up and down the stairs and looked in the cabin, and then it finally hit us that he's not in the cabin.
I remember we were sitting in the cabin. The boys were looking out the window. We'd just gotten there and kind of just checking things out. I don't think we'd been down to the water. I don't think we'd been on the dock yet. We'd gotten there late afternoon.
As they settled into the cabin, Carson looked out through the trees down to the dock and the lake.
We were waiting on, I think my dad and sister went to pick up food. So it was just me, my mom, and my brother. We were just sitting there, and we could hear the kid playing out in the water, but we thought he was just playing. We thought his family was there.
Standing in one of the few places where he had a clear line of vision to the lake, Carson had spotted 3-year-old Sam struggling in the water.
You've talked to Carson, he kind of has a dry sense of humor. He doesn't have a lot of emotion. And so Carson said to me, "Hey Mom, I think there's a kid drowning out there." And I was like, whatever, I think, you just want to get attention or what? And so I kind of got up to humor him and walk towards him. And when I did, Carson darted out of the door with this look on his face that I'll never forget. He was so focused.
Yeah, I don't really remember thinking about anything. It just really happened. When I got out to him, he was like, I feel like he was scared of me, kind of. We finally got him out of the water, and he was trying to crawl away from us, kind of, until I think he realized what we actually were helping him.
By this time, Heidi had made it down to the dock as well.
And I remember hearing Carson say he was on his knees on this mat, and he was leaning over, and I heard him say in just a very, non-dramatic way, "Hey buddy, do you need some help?"
With Sam safely out of the water and no car available, Heidi and Carson took Sam and began walking down the trail toward the lodge.
I immediately saw Heidi holding Samuel in her arms, and he was wet.
And he was crying because I was still in the cabin, still looking inside while they went outside. And I remember hearing crying and thinking, I hear him, he's outside.
Obviously, as soon as I saw him, I saw he was wet. I saw Heidi holding him. I knew exactly what had happened. And obviously, my heart kind of sank, and I just very, very difficult situation.
To me, it just brings so many emotions that it was such a miracle. All of those pieces had to be there. And then I think that God has such a great plan for Samuel that all of that happened to save his life. And it really leaves me speechless of how great God is.
Heidi credits scouting for preparing Carson, equipping him to make a life-saving decision at a critical moment.
I definitely think that Carson's training through scouting prepared him for that situation. And I know he'll be prepared for whatever situations come in the future.
As for Carson, he's uncomfortable with any suggestions that he did anything heroic. He says he was just acting on instinct, simply doing what he had learned to do as a scout.
It makes you feel really good. It makes it feel like all the work that you did in scouting really paid off over time. It prepares you for situations like that, and it prepares you for the rest of life, pretty much.